Put it on, girl. Let me see it. Put it on, girl. Let me see it.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Accidentally Informed. We are both on the road, and like always, I'm frantic, unprepared, and a hot ass mess, and my hair is not really done. But Erica, luckily, will hold it down in the glam and prepared department for us both. This is Accidentally Informed, the show where
we can't guarantee you're going to learn something, but you just might. Let me just say, so we're in the same city. We're both in Houston right now.
I got caught up in traffic and I just arrived and I had to go to rehearse. They sprung a last minute rehearsal from 4 to 6 today. I'm like, my podcast is at 5 and I had travel clothes on, tights, a hat on, looking very dusty. And when I got here, they said, please come to rehearsal just for a little bit. We're going to do your scene, then we're going to go. But no one was really ready to go right at 4. So I literally had about 9 minutes to throw something on. So please forgive this face today in this mess.
I can't stand you. Okay.
Why?
It's not even right. Like you're always like, oh, my face, my hair. And meanwhile, the rest of the world, like, bitch, you Claudia Jordan. What are you talking about?
No, I feel like my link has a filter on it because I'm telling you, I don't look like this. Like it's fuzzing me a little bit, so you don't really see the hot mess. Like it's there's a filter or something on here. But anyways, we're both in Houston. I hope I get to see. Well, I am going to see you while we're out here. We're going to definitely see each other.
Yes.
Hi, friend.
Footage for. We still have to come up with a name. So people sent us some suggestions for our accidentally informed viewers. Really? So we need to come up with a vote because there has to be a name for y'all. So continue to send us suggestions.
I love it. So you're out here. What are you doing now? I know you're doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So my production company, Comeback TV Presents, has a client called the Positive Energy Campaign. And y'all check it out. It's really great information about energy and how it affects us in our lives. So when we're talking about it in the press or we're talking about it, on social media, it really just breaks down the P's and Q's of energy. I ordered a glass of wine, so my wine just got here.
Listen, it's that kind of show. You can get up and go get it if you want. It's fine.
No. The team is here because we're all here for this launch party that I hope you can stop by and make it to tomorrow. So that's a lot of fun. But yeah, I can't believe we ended up in Houston at the same time because you're here for
the play, Games Women Play, and that is going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here in Houston at the Bayou Center in Houston. There are still tickets left, so please get those tickets and come see us. Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, I think a 3 p.m. then an 8 p.m. then Sunday. And my mom's flying out, so she'll be at the Saturday show, and then we're going to drive back to Dallas together, and she's going to hang out with me for a couple of days and probably nag me to death about, still talk to me like I'm 17 years old. That's what she does.
That's because, that's what we do. That's what we do as children, mothers who are, they're involved in their critique. So it's all.
I gotta say, I love that hair on you, Eric. I know I say it every week, but it looks so pretty. It's just such a good look for you. It's so pretty, but you rock all the looks.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're going to come up with, I need a couple more units because your girl is on the move. So I'm like, I don't know how to do the natural hair thing and then go to like different cities. It's not something that's in my repertoire. So
girl, I wish I need to learn how to do wigs on that. I clipped in a clip here, clip, and I hope it doesn't come out during the show. So let's get into it. There's a lot of stuff to get into. Let's talk about this bombshell in the Jay-Z sexual assault case. Now, today, Jay-Z's legal team dropped that they're calling the ultimate proof of his innocence in the now dismissed rape lawsuit against him. Let's listen to this audio recording from Jane Doe. Oh,
it's coming.
Okay, cool.
But Jay-Z, you're saying he was definitely there? But he had no part in it, or he was just...
He was there. He was just there, but he didn't have anything to do with any sexual acts towards you. It was strictly, yeah.
The woman is also heard saying her lawyer put her up to suing one of the world's most recognizable stars.
He was the one that kind of pushed me towards going forward with him.
With Jay-Z? Busby did?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No.
Okay, the dog in the background is like a fire, like when there's a fire, smoke detector in a black person's home, you just hear the beeping. That's what it's giving me. It's so distracting. But anyways, this is a big deal to have this audio. Erica, what do you think about this? They were going hard, and all of a sudden, he was there, but he didn't do anything to me. That is really devastating.
I'm going to take a different look at this, because had we been talking about Jay-Z being accused of sexual assault, I know we're on YouTube, so we have to be careful how we phrase these things, just a matter of a few years ago, we would not have been getting the vigor from an attorney who seemed like he was some type of a used car salesman, feeling so emboldened in this stance. To me, the evidence has seemed very shaky from the beginning. It really didn't make a whole lot of sense. And to have him double and triple down in the way with so much vibrato in terms of the attorney, Tony Busby, it said to me that we are in a different climate when it comes to people of privilege. Obviously, Jay-Z is one of the most privileged people out there. So that spoke volumes to me. And I understand why so many people in the culture have really been coming for Busby's neck.
Yeah, because he seemed like he was so sure. Busby seemed like he was so sure of this, and he was just fighting for this girl. And to have this story, and it does seem like she may be a little slow mentally, right? I mean, there are people who have said that. And maybe she's more susceptible to being taken advantage of and have things planted in her mind. And I think that makes it particularly evil, to do this. And what were we going to say?
Even from the beginning, I mean, her parents didn't corroborate her story. There was a lot that, to me, a case like this should have never met the public sphere. Like, we should never have known that this case was even a thing, because to have like such a lack of evidence and consistency, that's my thing is always this. I don't know who's innocent, who's guilty. I don't know who did what or who didn't do what. But what I do know is when we make these allegations for public fodder under such shaky grounds, it makes it so much difficult for real victims to come forward with their allegations, to name their accusers, when people can point to, this case isn't the only one. And for her to come forward and say, well, because of Jay-Z's fans, that's the reason why I dropped the case, because I was being harassed. Well, ma'am, no, it appears that you dropped the case because you knew that you didn't have a case to begin with. For this to come out, her talking to two investigators, and then to say, yeah, and of course she could be coerced by an attorney like a Busby. Of course, that's something that can happen. But when you're and it's his fault, really, because if she would have said that happened without him, we never would have heard about it.
He's the one that upped the ante and everything. And I think lawyers should be disbarred for stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like, when you sit there, you clearly knew this wasn't true, but you were like, ooh, payday, this could be the one. And you really were the engine behind this. I really pushed this thing, and then double and triple down. Now, yeah, we can all say Jay-Z's been vindicated. He's not guilty of this, but there will be a certain segment of the population that will always side-eye this, and this will leave a stain on him no matter what. Not everyone's going to hear the retraction. Not everyone's going to hear the, oops, my bad. Not everyone's going to hear that. And some people have made up their mind, because for a long time, it seemed to be a huge campaign, coordinated attack against Jay-Z. Like, oh, he's next. You just wait. And then you have the Jaguar rights jumping on, and all these other people piling on, making it worse, and doing this commentary on YouTube. And I mean, I think his reputation is definitely damaged from this, no matter what.
Well, what's going to be really interesting is what his next move is going to be, because Jay-Z has not taken this lying down. He has been very adamant that he was going to come for Tony Busby. So what happens next? Because what happens next is not only going to dictate how Tony Busby's moving forward. Remember, he's representing multiple alleged victims. So what does that mean for any of those cases? What does it mean for him as an attorney? What does it mean for, because Jay-Z has come forward and said, this has ruined huge moments in my family's life. You know, obviously, Blue had her Mufasa debut, which, you know, was marred by these allegations. There's been, I mean, Beyonce just won massively at the Grammys. All of these things that were happening, Jay-Z has said this has marred their memories as a family. And as much as people think that these people are subhuman, they are human beings, you know, like they have families and moments that they want to protect. So I'm really interested in seeing what he does moving forward, because I think that that's going to set a precedence, because the pendulum, it be swinging.
I hope so, because frankly, I being on the receiving end of lots of false allegations my damn self and defamation, but I always run it by my lawyer. My lawyer shuts things down really quickly. No, Claudia, we can't do that. I'd be irresponsible as your lawyer. Like he unless it's like a for sure certain slam dunk, he's not gonna waste time with it. So the fact that Tony Busby heard these, you know, helped fabricate this story and push this girl to tell this story, shame on him. Because you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing wrong. You know the damage it does, but you wanted this case to help your other cases. That's what you wanted to happen.
Well, and to be quite honest, to me, it's always come across as a clout chase. Like you can be an exceptional lawyer and not have to be the headline. It's why are you making yourself the headline? It's no different than if you're a journalist, you don't ever want to become the story. Why, as an attorney, would you want to become the story? Especially when you have people who you're alleging are in vulnerable positions, that you're defending their rights, that you're standing up for them. Like, why are you at the center? How have you centered yourself in all of this?
You think Jay-Z recovers from this?
Honestly, unlike some of the other, you know, situations, obviously Diddy and Bill Cosby, like people who have been famous Black people who have been accused of things. Never got that same stench on his name that you can name so many other people who definitely have a permanent stench on their name. But nobody wants to be accused of sexual assault.
Right. Yeah, it was a really tragic case. And you know, it seemed like no one had anything negative to say about these two, Beyonce and Jay-Z, and their entire family. They got very politically involved in the Hillary Clinton campaign. And also, you know, they've been very vocal. They've done a lot of stuff behind the scenes with funding court cases and people that are wrongfully convicted, people that are in prison. And they've done a lot of stuff for the Black community. And I wonder if there's a correlation there. I don't know. I can't help but to think that.
Well, I honestly, I hadn't thought about it that way, but I certainly can't rule that out.
Yeah.
Anytime there's an opportunity for someone who has the type of power like Jay-Z and Beyonce as literally America's first couple, then there's always going to be someone who's going to take the opportunity to try to do something to lessen their credibility. It's unfortunate that it got to this. I don't like hearing someone say that they came forward with a story like this under false pretenses. It just really makes it so difficult for people who are true victims.
Like both of us, we've definitely spoken on both of us having experience in this field and in this area. I shouldn't say field, this area. And it's like making a mockery out of the real victims. You know, I mean, the story always sounded insane from the beginning. I mean, your father doesn't remember driving you 4 or 5 hours from Syracuse down to the city. You found a way to find the limousine to take a 13-year-old like, hey, I want to go to a Diddy party. And the driver's like, okay, let me bring a stranger that's not on the list to the party. And then this happened. Like, it did sound nuts. And the fact that Tony Busby thought that was an okay narrative to put out there.
No, like that's insane. First, there was the teenage friend who allegedly drove her down there. Then the father had to pick her up.
Oh, the father picked her up. That's right.
Yeah. Then there was the allegation about watching the VMAs on the Jumbotron outside of Madison Square Gardens. But during that year, there wasn't a Jumbotron outside of Madison Square Garden. Then there was the whole talk of the performance with the Madden brothers,
that weren't even there at the party.
Were on tour in London. Like, I mean, people, please remember why, because I'm not, and I know Claudia isn't someone to have someone come forward and make a claim like this and be like, we don't believe you. Like, there are more than enough reasons why this case was more than shaky. It felt fabricated from the beginning. And I honestly cannot understand the strategy for any attorney to bring a case like this forward.
Absolutely insane. Okay, moving on. Wendy Williams gets released on Monday. Wendy Williams was taken to a hospital in New York City for an independent evaluation to determine if her cognitive functions are strong enough to end her guardianship. We do have a little sound to go to.
Absolutely, I want independently tested, and that is what I want, and that is what I got. And you know, Jana can tell you a little bit more. Look, it's not that I'm scared to talk. It's just under these circumstances, there's certain people that I don't care to talk to or talk about. You know what I'm saying?
All right. I mean, she sounds okay there to me. What do you think about this, Erica?
Well, she called into Good Day New York. This all feels, you know, I haven't heard anyone talk about this, but you know, as people who have been in media for a very long period of time, you and I have been in media for a long period of time, you become a student of some of these stories that you reported on. I have no doubt that Britney's conservatorship, that other people who have fallen victim to situations like this absolutely play a role in how Wendy is responding to this right now. That knowledge base of knowing that when the Free Britney movement was going on, that there were these times where the public was questioning, why didn't she make a run for it? Why didn't she speak out? And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, Wendy is not only sound, Wendy is practicing as a student of these stories that she's been reporting on for decades. Because the idea that they would get the police to her, have her go to a hospital independent of where they generally in the conservatorship would have placed her, have them do a memory test in a memory ward. She was explaining that like these people who are in the ward with her or in that department, I should say, I don't know if it's called a ward, are people who don't remember what happened moments ago. And she's saying that she scored a 10 out of 10 and that there's absolutely nothing wrong with her mental health in terms of her memory and her ability to take care of herself. The way this is being handled is like some B613 from Scandal stuff. And I am for it.
I can't wait for Wendy to get back out, get out of this guardianship, conservatorship, and tell us the real, where she can like freely tell it, because I don't know why this, I think is a whole hit job was done against her. You know, like there's a lot of stuff that happened, getting control of her money. Now she's saying the son took some of the bread, and this Sabrina lady that is in charge of, who's this woman, the white lady that is in charge? Like, why was she appointed the guardian of her? I don't understand. Where's the family? It's a lot of questions I got for this case. I just feel like it's so suspect. And I also want to bring up a point, Erica, with women versus men in these situations. There are men out here in the media, right, that are behaving far more off kilter than Wendy Williams. Kanye West comes to mind. And this person is not put in a guardianship. Like, it seems like they look at women as more hysterical and just easier to just kind of lock down, take away their rights. And I think this is worth looking into. I mean, of course, there definitely seem to be some issues with Britney, but the way they lock them down and take everything away from them is just like, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
It seems like, in this case, when you hear Wendy, she seems very with it. Okay. And not only that, it's not even the memory thing, it's the personality. You know, like it's when you hear her voice, she was on, that clip is from Good Day New York. And what she's saying to, is it Rosanna Soto? I messed up the reporter's name, my bad. But the way that she's speaking to her is like, girl, yeah, we're going to go shopping because I don't have anything to wear. All my clothes are in storage. Like, she sounds like herself. She sounds like someone who has their wits about them. So you're absolutely right. I think the Kanye example was a great one. Like, how does this happen to someone? How does someone all of a sudden no longer because it started with the bank. This all started
Wells Fargo.
That Wells Fargo was not releasing her funds. That to me is just mind blowing. I still can't get there. I cannot get there. The reporter's last name is Scotto. Sorry. Okay, thank you, Anthony Buchanan. Yeah, and apparently they're friends and have known each other for quite some time. So she called in with another friend, Gina, who was at the hospital with her, to Scotto's show. And that's the conversation that they had. And this all feels like I'm sorry, my pits are sweating a little bit because it's like, so it feels very 007. Like it feels like a fight for our freedom. It feels like not free Wendy is like, run, girl, run. We are all rooting for you. Like, get out. Yes. Like I just got so excited to hear it, especially although, her friend Gina was very much involved in the conversation and Wendy was like throwing it to her. It wasn't like, Gina, can you speak for me? She's like, she said, and I felt like it was very strategic that Wendy said some things and Gina said the other things. This is way too concise. This is surgical. There is no way that you can tell me that Wendy Williams is not able to be out of that conservatorship. There's just no way.
Do you think the mentally incapacitated piece was it's almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg? Was it Wells Fargo? Was it a scandal with the banks? Was it a scam on her money? And then we're going to reverse engineer the reason why, because it seemed like we heard more about the money first. And then it was like, oh, she's off. She's like, she's out of her mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, also look at what's happened since with banks not releasing people's funds. The money is actually quite funny. So if you have someone with a very large account and a lot of assets, and all of a sudden they're pulling them, or someone in their camp is, and your money, not to say that Wells Fargo, needs Wendy Williams' money alone, but if everyone starts to do that, then what happens? You seem like you have a theory, so I want to hear your theory.
A friend of mine. My mom met these elderly women, right? And she didn't have any idea how much money that she had. And my mom befriended her, and she ended up becoming like kind of like a caretaker. She started looking through her records. This woman would go to the bank and really trusted the bank tellers. And these people were having this woman sign documents, right? And she didn't even know what she was signing off. She signed off everything. She made a bank teller power of attorney. So basically the bank teller saw an opening in someone that was a little incapacitated, like early stages of dementia, but it's gotten way worse over the years. And she took advantage of a trusting person. And when it was all said and done, this regular woman that was a blue collar working woman had her money siphoned. It was like over $270,000. My mom jumped in. They got her convicted. No one went to prison over this. They had to there was some kind of restitution. But I think this is a lot more common. I'm not saying this is exactly what happened to Wendy, but I will say there are definitely people in all aspects of our lives that have access to our money, to our accounting, to our credit that are nefarious. They're bad. They have ill will towards you. And I don't know. I just think there was one point also, Eric, I don't know if you feel me on this one. I was hoping that Wendy she was acting so she could throw off Kevin Hunter, because remember, before this all happened, before the breakdown, she was, he was really at her neck about getting money. She had to deal with seeing the man that she loved, go off and start a family with another woman, and they're living and living in the lavish lifestyle based on her money. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I was hoping that Wendy was just like this was an act.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that you're the only person who felt that way. Obviously, Anthony Buchanan chimed in. He said he's surprised that we haven't heard from Kevin Hunter. He's been shockingly quiet or silent on the Wendy Williams situation. And it's true. There's so much that...
Yes. Why is he quiet? He wasn't quiet before.
Because my thought, and this is just speculation, but he still believes himself to have some type of ownership over a lot of those funds. Mm-hmm. So if you're working behind the scenes to secure, because here's the thing. People always think that people are coming after you. It's about you. It's about you. People don't care about you. They care about themselves. So when you figure out what their end game is, that's actually going to embolden them or give them some type of financial gain or freedom, that's what the plot is. You're just like collateral. Like nobody really cares that much about you. They care about how you and what you have can potentially affect them. That's what it's always about. So I would not be the least bit surprised if Kevin is behind the scenes pulling some marionette strings, emboldening, and this is all just my opinion, but emboldening the conservatorship, doing some things behind the scenes to make it more difficult for Wendy. And with enough people who definitely do not want to see her out of this conservatorship, then yeah, I could see how this all came to be. And it's very unfortunate. It's very sad.
Anthony Buchanan, who he's our number one fan. I adore him. He is coming with some more information. He says, ladies, let's not forget that Sabrina was previously being investigated for giving a conservatorship to a construction worker a few years ago. So is this how she makes her, like, we gotta look into Sabrina. Those Sabrinas, boy, let me tell you. Look into this Sabrina and see what is going on with her, because is this what she does? Like, I don't know much about her, so I really can't say much about her, but
I don't know anything about her either, but I will say this for anyone who thinks like a Sabrina, the idea of attaching yourself to a married man based on the wealth of his wife when she's still in the picture is not a sound business plan. Oh
no, Sabrina's the guardian, not the side girl.
Oh, what was her name? I thought her name was Sabrina.
Isn't Sabrina the Sabrina Mass? Sabrina is the one that is the guardianship, the old white lady.
Yeah, Sabrina is the guardian. What's the side chick's name?
I forgot her name, but she has a lot of audacity, her damn self as well.
I'm sure that Chris or Anthony will let us know. Somebody let us know what the side chick's name.
Oh, Serena.
Serena. I knew
Anthony coming through with the fact for us.
I was close. At least it was in the ballpark. If you turned around and been like, her name is Elizabeth.
Right. Do you think it's far-fetched to hope that Wendy could return back to, like, she sounds fine, like she sounds good, but not like, not good enough to come back to talk?
I know. I don't think it's far-fetched
that
we are going to see her. Will we see her on a daily show? I think that might be far-fetched. Will we see her back in the media? Absolutely, yes. And I don't necessarily want to see Wendy daily. The thing about it is, it has nothing to do with anything other than clearly something was happening with Wendy Williams, and she needs to be protected. And as someone who did 7 years of a daytime talk show, 5 days a week, that is emotionally and physically taxing. And if she isn't, like, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm, younger. I'm younger than Wendy. And I'm telling you, it's very, very taxing. So I don't think it would be the appropriate solution for Wendy to come back full time. But that doesn't mean that Wendy can't come back in some capacity.
I just listen, even if it's just one interview where she kind of tells us what's been happening, like the real, like just unfiltered, tell us all of it. I would that's selfish of me, but that's what I want. But I'm sure she misses that. Can you imagine if the Wendy Williams show was on during these past 2-3 years with all this Diddy stuff coming to light? Because, he was the one that got her fired from a radio show because she kind of dropped tea that, she thought he was, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? And then he was very angry about that. And then I often wondered if he had anything to do with it. Like, was she poisoned? Did something happen to her? Was she given some drugs? I don't know. But these are just things I'm throwing out there. Yeah.
This is speculation.
Speculation, 1000%.
We're speculating. I do feel like she holds some keys. I obviously, we've all known that. She has been privy to information that most people have not been. And I would be interested in seeing who would speak to her in corroboration, like in the spirit of corroboration. And I think that's really that. I mean, I don't hold anything, like I don't see anyone as not being able to do the absolute most and the absolute worst. I would be very curious to hear a conversation or an interview with Wendy Williams and Sure, for example. Just throwing those things out there.
Maybe your production company can produce that. That'd be quite the interview. Wouldn't that be quite? That would be quite the get.
Yeah, it would be, and I think it would be very interesting. Very interesting.
All right. Speaking of interesting, let's move on to this next story, which is pretty sad, actually. Dawn Robinson, the leading voice for the ultimate girl group, En Vogue, revealed that she's been homeless, sleeping in her car for nearly 3 years. Let's take a look.
Oh, we're pulling it up right now.
Okay. Well,
I was pretty so we're obviously at a hotel and the Wi-Fi situation is just a little behind.
Girl, I've been using a filter, taking the filter on, off. I took it off because I'm like, oh, I look like a cartoon. Then I took it off. I'm like, oh, I look haggard. So I just listen. I'm going through it over here. Okay.
No. Great. We're good. Okay. Here's the clip.
Let's take a look.
I have been researching car life. There's a whole community of people that live in their cars, and a whole community of people that live in their RVs, and a whole community of people that live in vans. Van life, car life, RV life. And I loved what I was seeing. I just thought, wow, these people I can do that. I could do this, I think. And I ended up in my car, and it's been, like I said, 3 years.
So what were your immediate thoughts, Claudia?
Well, I've been hearing whispers about Dawn for a long time, and I've definitely had some dealings with her in Hollywood. I'd see her around, and I actually feel bad for her. I think there may be some kind of mental issues, in my opinion. She seems to have a tough time with other people. Like, maybe it's just all coincidence, but with En Vogue, and then it was the group Lucy Pearl. Then she speaks about having issues with her mom. Maybe she's difficult to get along with. Maybe there's some anxiety there. Maybe she feels, I don't really know, but my opinion is she seemed like she's a little like, it's like something's wrong, and I don't know who she has in her life to look after her, to see if she's okay. It doesn't seem like she does. And to be someone that was a superstar in quite arguably one of the best girl groups, R&B groups of all time, and to know that at the end of her story, well, the journey has taken her to living in her car for the past 3 years. Do you know how much money this group probably generated for their record companies, their managers, their agents? And you're in a car?
Yeah.
Where are your friends? Where's your family? Where or do you not get along? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
So I mean, I don't want to see this, like I don't want to see someone who feels very vulnerable. She comes across as very vulnerable. Obviously I'm a fan of En Vogue. I grew up as a fan of En Vogue. I wanted to be them, like that. So to see someone who had reached those iconic heights coming to us saying, I've lived in my car for the past 3 years, because this clip is one clip, but she also talks about that she was in a situation where she lived with her mother for a period of time. And she says her mother was quite angry and she had to move out of her mother's home. And then her manager at the time was saying that she could stay with him, but he didn't really have room for her. So then he was supposed to get her an apartment. And she's going on to tell this story of how she ended up in this situation, that he was basically paying for her hotel, but it was week to week, and that he wouldn't approve her apartment. And my question, and this is not like trying to kick someone when they're down, but I do think it begs the question, like, why can't she get employment? Like, I'm wondering why it was the manager's responsibility solely, especially she said that he was living in an apartment that was $1,700 a month in LA, and he's paying $3,000 a month for her to live in a hotel. A lot of questions, like what's up with this money management situation, and why are we in this predicament? Like, it does beg a lot of questions, and I'm not trying to kick her when she's down.
We got to get out of that. Like, well, we can't speak on something because, people are thinking that we're clearly, listen, we come from that era where En Vogue was everything to us. We all wanted to be like them, be part of the group. We were inspired by the little black dresses and hold on to your love and all this. Listen, we all loved, ooh, my first mistake was I wanted too much time. I had to have it morning, noon, and night. If I would have known then the things I don't know. Okay, that was terrible. But we all were inspired by them. To see this is horrible. I have a friend that was working with her, and she said that there was always issues with her, and she was a little delulu and tough to deal with, tough to work with. But I hate to put that on another black woman, because I feel like that goes on us so easily. But this is from someone else in the community. Okay. I did hear that there is a biopic that is about to drop, and there's the return of Maxine to the group. So this might be, I'm sure this happened, but there's also sharing this now. I'm hoping this is all marketing. I want this to be marketing so bad. You guys, I want this to be like, yeah, it wasn't really 3 years. It was like maybe a week, but I'm going to put extra on it so we can market. I hope it's that. But I don't know. I do hope this dot comes out on them and she gets a bag. I hope she can get secure where she can, get on her feet and just not. She's got to be in her 50s now. Like, who wants the next 20 years, 30 years, like just living like this? Like, this is horrific.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because here's another thing that kind of was a red flag too. She said that her assistant researched
girl
life.
I know where you're going.
I'm thinking like, okay, I know what it takes to have an assistant.
Ma'am, why are you homeless with an assistant? That's what you want to say. But go ahead. You know what? We haven't done translation in a while. Go ahead.
So I would question why an assistant is a priority if you're living in your car.
Why the hell are you trying to floss on social media and tell us that you have an assistant if you're really trying to make ends meet to the point where you're living in your car? Go ahead.
It just came across as like, I don't want to kick her when she's down. I don't. But there's so many questions. It just begged more questions.
When I heard that assistant part, I was like, girl. It kind of makes it the other parts of the story like, wait, what? Hold up. That doesn't make sense. Or maybe there was a friend, or maybe she had an assistant that is like doing stuff for her for free. But like, now is not the time to do all that. My assistant, my people, like it is. Well, it's time. We got to get some money. We got to get out of this. Like it.
Yes.
Right. Like
be a life assistant. Your friend who maybe at one point helped you because you have, when you have a life that's too big for one person to manage, then sometimes you have friends who are great enough and loyal enough and responsible enough to help you. But once the help becomes day-to-day basic necessities, we got to drop all of that. Like, this is assistant to getting my life out of the car. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand it. And I don't want to say that she's like flaunting, because that's weird, like to have both things happening. But that did beg some questions. If y'all want to chime in on that in the group chat,
you're being
in the group chat. Am I wrong for that? I mean, I'm just listening to the information that we're receiving. And I do think that I don't think I would be doing anyone any favors if I didn't say things like, it seems that you may have some time on your hands. Why can't that time be spent getting a job? Like, I don't, because the problem is with so many people, especially younger folks on social media, they just want the end result. They don't want to do any work for it. And then I think we coddle them in a lot of respects, like, yes, you can do anything you want to do. That's not the real thing. That's not the truth. You can't do anything you want to do. You can do everything that you put your mind, body, resources, time, all the years endlessly. That's how you do what you want to do. They're doing what you have to do to get it. And I think we have just missed that message so much that we have people just out here. It's just enough to show the picture. Well,
Yep.
showing the picture and taking all that time and energy and effort to show said picture is taking valuable time away from all of the work that you could be doing in that moment. And to be quite honest, it's offensive because all of us are out here hustling our asses off.
I don't have an assistant.
I don't even have time to do the flex. And you know,
Yeah.
sometimes my life is kind of a flex. I can't even show it off because I don't have the time.
You know, Big Sis Chris made a comment that makes sense. First she said totally agree, then said, but she made it sound like a choice, like the whole van life, car life. I do think that that's why I think there's something a little bit maybe wrong with her. Oh my God, like you can't say anything without people getting mad. So let me just say, fuck it, and just say it. Like, you really can't have it both ways. My first mind and heart is I want to be empathetic and I want to be sympathetic to your condition. But then I wonder, is it something that you're doing that is keeping you in this situation? Are you pushing away help of your people? And are you more concerned about the image? Like, even living in a car for 3 years, you wanted to say that you had an assistant and that this was a choice. I don't think anyone really chooses this life. And Dawn, I know you've had some of the finest things. You experience success. You know what a nice mattress and a warm home feels like. I know you know these things. And I'm not clowning you. I'm not. I hate this for you. I hate this for you. I don't want to see you living like this and seeming a little like I just need to see a sense of urgency with you about this life. You're a woman, a beautiful woman. You don't need to be in a car where you can be accosted and harassed and assaulted or even worse. You should be safe. Like I'm sure people stop you and they recognize you still. This is not safe. And if your mom being angry was enough to make you leave the comforts of a home and run to LA, and then an unreliable man that says he got you, putting you in a weekly hotel, I can't imagine that being a good place for you to live. So I don't know. Is it you that's pushing these like good people away that want to help you because of some issues you have? Or are you the unluckiest person alive where everybody in your life that wants to help you is a horrible person, or you're the victim of all this? So I don't know. But the clues I took from your speech and what you said was you came across, you kind of put it out there like this was a choice. Like it was almost like fun, like you were camping. And it's not. It's actually quite sad.
And it was the way that it was combined.
Yeah.
It was combined with the story of not being able to be with her mother because her mother's the problem. Then it was combined with the story about the manager and how the manager, like, why do we know this information? The manager had a $1,700 apartment in LA and then put you up in what ended up being a $3,000 a month hotel. That's less than $100 a night, which, you know, fine or whatever. But I'm imagining that a hotel that's less than $100 a night in LA
is horrible.
That's telling me a lot right there.
Yeah.
So it isn't as though this was a choice in terms of you're asking. She said she was asking her manager regularly if he was going to be able to pay that week's rent, and how much anxiety, or, you know, for the hotel, how much anxiety that caused in her not knowing. So it may be a choice that she's actively making due to her circumstances, but I didn't get the impression that she left, a home in order to do this. And here's the thing, because I do want to bring this up. Chris R said, there are people that choose the life. And yes, there are people who choose a multitude of lives. There are people who choose to be homeless. And I'm saying that I know that people are going to lie. I'm telling you.
You're right.
When I've lived in Sacramento, especially, I spent a lot of time walking. I didn't have a car. I would walk everywhere. I would get like 25,000 steps, and I was in the best shape of my life. Okay. But it was like a conscious thing. So I would walk, and I met a lot of people who lived on the streets. And I would have lunch with people who lived on the streets. And a lot of them who lived there were telling me that they did not want to have a home, that this was a choice that they made based on the lifestyle that they preferred to live. I know that is crazy to people, but some people have chosen that life. The other thing is, and I'm not sure which lifestyle that Chris was referring to, but there are people who choose van life all the time. My brother and his family had a bus. They painted a purple school bus, did the whole interior redesign or whatever, and they traveled the entire country all throughout COVID, like from 20 to 2022. I mean, they had a home, but like, this is what they were choosing to do.
But that's cute the way you're saying it. I have a sister that's weird like that too, and got emptied out. I'm sorry, emptied out a bus, and her husband travel the world. They go in the parks and like live in the woods, and it's cute, and they're in love. They're young. They're like 30, right? Okay. Dawn from In Vogue, who grinded her way out of whatever situation she was in to become a superstar, and then left that group, wanted to go solo, then left that group, got with Lucy Pearl. Clearly is someone that wants a successful life and wants wealth, right? For her to choose that life, I don't think she's choosing that. Your brother, quirky, my sister, quirky, and they got someone with them. It's kind of cute. This ain't cute what she's got going on. This shit is not cute. This is giving me trash in the cars, trying to make it. And I think it's sad like that there's no one that she could have gone to live with before ending up on the street for 3 years. Think about what that is to someone that's famous as well.
Yeah. No,
I think that makes it different, right?
I get it. I was just trying to paint.
Girl, that's so cute.
A broader picture.
You're so cute and nice.
I know. But what I really do want people to understand, because especially for us, like a demographic, like, where we are in our lives, we are a demographic that grew up being told, particularly us, Black people don't go to therapy. You don't tell your business to strangers. That's for white people. Like all of these things. The amount of time that it took me to unlearn that was, at the end of the day, as someone who struggled with mental health issues, as someone who struggled with suicidal ideation, I cannot be more specific and pointed to people. You need to seek mental health resources and therapy. Because and I'm not saying that this is her situation, but if she is someone who has chosen this life in this capacity because she doesn't have anybody in this world who's going to be in her corner, some of that has to be absorbed, and you have to look at that in a 360 view. It can't always be someone else. It can't always be someone else's responsibility. You have to take responsibility for that too. And I find it very, very difficult to believe that she was in a situation that there wasn't one person who could be trusted in her corner and wasn't trying to be there for her. So that's a mental health issue. I'm not saying that she has a mental health problem, but there are periods in our lives sometimes where we go through mental health struggles. And for that, please, Taraji P. Henson, the Boris Henson Foundation is, I believe, a sliding scale. It's according to your resources. There are so many resources out there for the community, and I implore people to get help because it gets so much better. It really does.
And I know we're quick to say someone's difficult to work with, and there are a lot of people in this business that are very
There
difficult.
are a lot of people in this business that are super difficult to work with. Okay,
Yeah.
I might have met a few of them.
And for whatever reason, they are. But hopefully, even in your most difficult state, there is someone in your life that recognizes what's happening with you and that can kind of stomach your difficultness to try to help you, even if it's like leading you to therapy or counseling or resources. Because I hate to know that you have millions of fans and friends and family, and these were your options. A manager putting you in a probably hourly type hotel, okay? Those are scary places, okay? There was usually dirty places, or living in your car. Those are your choices. So either you're pushing these people away, and maybe there is a mental issue going on there, or I don't know. I'm sure there have been people along the way that try to help, and maybe you're conditioned. You don't even see that you're doing this. Sometimes you got to look at yourself and be like, man, why does no one stay?
You absolutely do not. Like, you know, I mean, for me, I did not see it until my mother showed up unannounced in a city that she didn't live in because I was there.
Wow.
So when I say this to people, I'm not saying it to point fingers at someone else.
You've been through it.
You from experience.
And it's hard to say. For some reason, I am glad that in the last 5-10 years that more Black people have been okay with admitting, I need help, I need therapy, or I'm going to see a therapist. That's music to my ears, because a lot of times we have this thing on us where we feel like we have to be the strong Black woman all the time, or the strong Black man. And I don't know why we don't allow ourselves the luxury of needing help. We have the most stressful lives with all the things we deal with, and it's only gotten a lot worse in the past 3 months. And allow yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. Like, it's okay that I cracked. It's okay that I cracked. I'm sure she cracked. Like, I've been around her, and I've had my dealings with her where there was some words where just two different personalities, I would say, or just experiences with her, like hot, cold. And I felt that she was someone that needed some help, or a shoulder to cry on at the very least, or someone that could like look out for her. I wasn't close to her like that. I just kind of, but in my limited dealings, I saw someone that needed some help with life. And you know, I hope, I pray, like, I love In Vogue. Dawn is so dope and a unique and original in her style. I want to see a comeback story. I really do. I
would love to see it too. Speaking of which, I do want to, just because you said something a little bit ago that jogged this. So Claudia, for those of you who haven't been with our journey together, was my first guest on my live comeback show, Comeback with Erica Cobb.
Yeah.
And based on everything that we just talked about, you shared very vulnerable moments. And honestly, to this day, I still have people who reach out to me and thank me for having you on, and for them being able to hear that from you, because it was so impactful coming from you. So if you haven't seen that live show, look that up, because it was truly a gift.
And thanks for providing me that platform. It was good to talk about it. I think that we get judged a lot of times. Like, people may see a little piece of you on one show or a different experience and make a whole judgment of your whole life over you, and not knowing, well, around that time I was suicidal. I was ready to, take myself out. So maybe I wasn't that pleasant, or maybe I didn't seem that delightful when you met me, or, I was trying to like keep it together or not, park the car in the garage with the carbon monoxide going and breathe it all in. That was my story. And, please go watch Erica's show and see that when we had our discussion. You never know what people are dealing with.
Yeah.
Before we go, I definitely want to talk about this big deal of a story. The BLM street mural in D.C. was taken down on Monday. Crews began removing the city's Black Lives Matter street mural after a Republican bill targeting the mural threatened city funding. Lots of people are commenting on it. Let's listen to one of the comments.
Just in case you all needed a visual representation of where we are right now, they are actively, at this current moment in Washington, D.C., tearing up the Black Lives Matter street. Did you hear what I said? They are taking taxpayer dollars to tear up a street, because that's how much they hate us. Do you understand what's happening?
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, no, I was trying to give her credit because I wanted to make sure that she got credit because she's an amazing content creator and I couldn't remember her handle. Especially people who are able to get the moments out to the people in the moment. That has been a target for racists since it went up. We remember I think the black paint on top of it, trying to cover it. And honestly, to me, it was symbolic. It was symbolic from the moment that it was created, and now it's symbolic of where we are in this country. And sorry, Rayshonda Leas, Shop AIF is her Instagram handle. I just like to make sure that we're crediting. Yeah, I mean it's sad to see, but it's not shocking is what my feeling is. How do you feel about it?
You know, the Trump administration, the Trump campaign, I will say, prided itself on fixing America, lowering us the day one. I'm lowering the egg prices. Inflation's coming down. It's all about money. It's all about your wallets. And clearly it was not. He galvanized a bunch of racist people to, excite them. And if I get in office, really the dog whistle was, I'm going to make these black people get right back in their place where they're supposed to be back in the 40s and 50s. And before that, and that's exactly what he's doing. This is just par for the course. Everything that gave us some great pride is something that they want to take down and dismantle and hurt our feelings. It's like a personal thing against black people. The word DEI, the phrase DEI is now, that's the new N-word, y'all. The way they're cutting black jobs without even checking if this person's more or less qualified than the white counterpart is insane. And people are just telling on themselves. And look at the tears. That is a powerful photo. We can't have shit in this country, and they making it very clear. Like, we are going to take back everything we can. We have to go back and do what our grandparents and our parents did, actually, and just redo it. All the time to hear people say, "Oh, I wish I was around the 50s and 60s. I would have done this. I would have done that." Well, guess what, people? Now is your time. Now is your time. The boycotts are working. You see, Trump did a whole commercial for Tesla on his lawn today. Or yesterday, whatever it was. They are working, and
on the way you said that
on the lawn.
Whole commercial on his lawn.
Whole commercial. He don't drive with that diaper on. Okay, so he does not really drive cars. But anyways, it's disgusting that your priority in a time where you claim the economy is so bad for so many people because of Joe Biden, not you. We were growing, and now we're heading towards a recession. And your focus is all the things that made us feel a little bit of comfort or happiness or pride. That's what you go after. HBCUs, black books, black people work in the federal government. That's your priority. And that tells you all you need to know. It's a culture war. It's not about money. It's not about the economy.
Well, of course not, because they voted for eggs prices to be lowered. And now you F8 and we're FOing that eggs don't have to actually be in the market at all. To me, I'm like, here's the thing though, Claudia, it's not like you and I are shocked and surprised.
No.
We've been saying this. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
We try to tell them. The 92% is trying to tell them.
Important to you. Like, we all know what it is. If you can say it's the eggs, if you can say it's the economy, if you can say these things, it's about your money. To this day, I'm just going to repeat. Those of you who voted because it was about your money, they weren't talking to you. They were not talking to you.
Oh, they see now.
The 1%. If you don't even like the people who have had the audacity to say that to my face, that it was about the economy and their money, and that they were going to have more under this administration, has taken everything, because I am a nice person, not to laugh in their faces, because I know for a fact that this was never about you and your money. Okay. Yeah. So
no, they felt they had an excuse to act like it was, just like they said with the migrants, the illegal immigrants, the immigrants. No, This is an open, just permission to get rid of all the people that you feel like are browning America. Because we were definitely heading into a place where, you know, the whites were being the minority, were going to eventually be the minority. I don't care who's the majority of the minority in America. I don't need black people to be the majority or brown or what. I don't care. Just be kind to each other.
Yeah.
It's actually dope when we have a little bit of everything in this country. And I wish these racist, I mean racist, not regular white, racist whites will get into that. You know, like having a country, like America's like no other country, right? Because we're supposed to be a melting pot. We're supposed to have a little Italy. We have the part of town where you can go get Spanish goods and food, like Cuban food. We have a place, you know, we have parts of cities where there's a Ethiopian section. You can try their food. Jamaica. I love that we have all these different segments of our population that are all under the American umbrella. That's what made America great. Not making it go back to being lily white, bland, and all one thing. You know, like that's what made it great. Y'all want to celebrate Taco Tuesdays and drink margaritas, but y'all want to shit on the Mexicans and get them up out of here. Such hypocrites you are.
Well, I think that that's our wrap, because if we go down this rabbit hole,
oh yeah, we're gonna have another rant. We're gonna be cussing and going off on this.
Yes.
I'm tired of it, Erica, though. It's I used to feel so happy about this country, and I'm just like, ugh, like yuck, you know?
But you know, like I said about the pendulum earlier, it do be swinging.
Mm-hmm.
So, and honestly, I'd rather know who my adversaries are loud and proud than have to guess. It's such a waste of my time. So if that's what it did, was to expose people and their true intentions, then I'm happy to know so I can move accordingly. But yeah, so I mean, hey, do we need to eat eggs every day? Probably not.
Right. Well, they got their wish, huh? They got their wish. And they can use the excuse of eggs, which are now double what they were last year.
Mm-hmm. If you get a carton, but that's okay. That's okay. Well, I'm gonna holla at you later, since we're literally down the street from
Yes, I know. I want to go to the game tonight. The Houston Rockets had a game tonight. I wanted to go there, but you know, I didn't figure it out. So you want to get out? We can get out on these Houston streets. I'll actually do my hair when we go out.
Tickets to the Houston Rockets game?
I don't know anybody there.
What are they? A carton of eggs?
Yes. You're right. Good one. On that note, this has been Accidentally Informed,
where we can't guarantee that you'll learn something, but you just might.
I am Claudia Jordan.
And I'm Erica Cobb.
We'll see you back every Wednesday. Please tell a friend about our page. You know, some days we're real hype on this page, on this show. Sometimes we're not, but we're always honest. And I love that about us. So, all right, y'all, make sure you tell a friend about our show. We'll see you back here next week. Bye, Erica.
Bye.
Put it on, girl. Let me see it. Put it on, girl. Let me see it.